Good morning, MPC. This is our weekly economic briefing. Today we have Director Mark Ablang from the Department of Finance to introduce our guest.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Welcome again to the weekly economic press briefing hosted by the Economic Development and PCOO also. We are back this week with the updates on the efforts of the government to address the increasing prices of basic goods and services. We'd like to assure the public that the government is doing everything it can to help countrymen overcome the challenges we are currently facing. A week ago, the Economic Development Cluster laid out their plans to address the last month's inflation. The Department of Finance, the Department of Budget and Management, the NEDA, the Department of Trade and Industry, Department of Agriculture, Department of Justice, Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, Bureau of the Treasury, and the members of the NFA Rice Council met to craft solutions that will bring down food prices and give immediate relief to the Filipino people. Also, a joint statement was released last week regarding the August 2018 inflation that will give more details about the inflation updates. But this afternoon, we have the Department of Trade and Industry to share with us the price monitoring and anti-inflationary measures being implemented to help stabilize and reduce food prices, particularly basic necessities and price commodities, as well as key agricultural products. Ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome DTI Consumer Protection Group Undersecretary Ruth B. Castello.
Thank you, Director Ablan. Good morning po sa inyong lahat. Magandang umaga. I make the introduction. Yes, the Department of Trade and Industry had initiated measures that will provide easier access to consumer products, particularly basic necessities and prime commodities. Ito po yung mga basic necessities and prime commodities na manufactured food products na binabantayan ng DTI under the Price Act. Agricultural products are really for the Department of Agriculture. Ang mandate po nila and jurisdiction over these products nasa DA po. But since July 2018, the DTI had started to give assistance to the Department of Agriculture. So para po dun sa measures na ginagawa natin, since January 2018 nang pumasok ang train law, binantayan natin ang consumer products, so we intensified monitoring of the manufactured food products under the Price Act. Dinoble natin ang efforts natin in terms of personnel at dinagdagan rin natin ng expanded wide para doon sa retail outlets na binabantayan. Even in the regions across the country, ang regional and provincial offices ng DTI nagdoble rin po ng reach nila. Also, as another measure that the DTI has done, we expanded also the coverage of the suggested retail price. We included now 241 shelf-keeping units from the 162 before. We did this, ginawa natin ito para mabigyan ng mas madaming choices ang mga consumers natin in terms of variety ng kanilang produktong binibili, size, at ng brand. So, kahit na yung medyo mas mataas na brand at yung pinakamurang brand, sinama na rin natin dun sa suggested retail price list of the manufactured food products. We have also conducted special market monitoring activities on agricultural products. Kasama po natin ang Department of Agriculture na nag-ikot sa mga palengke para tingnan na rin ang presyo ng agricultural products kagaya ng gulay, isda, manok at baboy. Meron din tayo sa DTI na group na inatasan na mag-monitor regularly. So alam rin namin yung galaw ng presyo ng agricultural products dahil binantayan na rin natin ito starting July. Pagka meron tayong nakitang violators, example for manufactured food products, anything above the suggested retail price, we issue the letters of inquiry doon sa retailer so that we can trace the sources or trading layers na nangyayari doon sa produkto. And then if the increase in the price is unreasonable, we issue the notice of violation. Tapos pupunta sila sa DTI, maghihiring na yon, mag-mediation muna, and we'll see if they will take immediate corrective measures. Pagka hindi, magtutuloy sa kaso. For agricultural products, since the start of DTI's assistance to the Department of Agriculture, marami na din tayong retailers sa wet markets na na-issuehan ng letters of inquiry. Dito naman, iba naman yung, it's the same objective and the same scheme, pero iba naman yung nakukuha nating information. Letters of inquiry, doon nila, pag sinagot nila, doon natin makikita yung trading sources ng produkto. Nakikita rin natin kung saan merong mataas na dahilan kung bakit tumataas ang presyo sa palengke. Example is chicken. Palagi natin sinasabi, farm gate price of chicken used to be, when we started, used to be 70 pesos per kilo. So from our studies and researches with the producers ng livestock and broiler products, nalaman natin na 50 pesos lang dapat. Because trading fee of around 7 to 8 pesos, dressing fee of around 26 pesos, plus yung kita ng vendor sa palengke na 20, more or less 50, 55 pesos. So if you buy the chicken at 70 pesos per kilo, kailangan 120 pesos lang siya sa palengke. Yun yung matagal na sanang na-address, kaya lang ito na lang kasi because nag-provide na lang kami ng assistance sa DA, na-discover natin na yun yung dahilan ng pagtaas ng presyo sa palengke. Another example is pork. If you buy pork in the market, ano yan, nasa 200, 220 pesos, depende which cut or which part of the hog. Pero ang farm gate price niya is 130 pesos. Plus 70 pesos na reasonable traders fee, slaughtering fee, at saka yung market vendors fee, reasonable price would be 200 pesos at retail. Prime cuts, 220 pesos to 240, okay pa rin siya. But anything above 240 would be unreasonable. Ito din, letters of inquiry, and then we issue notices of violation also. Pero pag nalaman kasi natin yung trading sources, and most of the time, it's not the market vendors that are at fault. Kasi yung kuha nila dun sa trader nila or yung supplier nila, already above the reasonable price. Hindi naman natin pwedeng pigilan ang market vendors na maglagay ng kita nila. So, doon yung nakita natin na problema, and that's what we're doing our best to source or to look out for. I'll go back to manufactured food products. DTI also initiated convincing manufacturers of BNPCs to hold off price increases at least for the next 3 months. We had this meeting with them ng August 17, 2018, na convince natin sila at pumayag sila. Some committed 3 months, some committed 6 months, some committed 9 months. So at least assured ang consumers that for the next 3 months, hindi gagalaw ang presyo ng BNPCs nila. This became effective as of September 1st, 2018, when we issued the adjusted suggested retail price, covering the first wave of requests of increases itong 2018. So that will be good until December 1st, 2018. But before manufacturers can move their prices or make changes in the market, idadaan nila ulit yan sa DTI. Kasi yung suggested retail price nga, especially if the products are on our list, pag-aaralan ulit, and DTI will have to evaluate the data that they will submit to us, check the reasonableness, at saka natin i-adjust ang panibagong suggested retail price list that we will release. So, to allay the fears of our consumers, kasi maraming nagsasabi, tataas ang presyo bigla, or tatalon yan, or prices will jump pag natapos yung 3-month period. Hindi po mangyayari yun kasi nga, like I said, idadaan ulit nila sa DTI. They will have to submit data before they can change the market price or yung presyo sa retail. Dun sa panibagong SRP list yon. This SRP list also that is good for until December 1st is different from the Noche Buena products naman that we traditionally serve to our families. Ang DTI naglalabas din ng suggested retail prices for basic products that we use for Noche Buena. Ito yung traditional fruit cocktail, mayonnaise, pasta, yung elbow and spaghetti, mga ganyang produkto na naka-SRP siya. So, manufacturers would know how much they can sell the product and the consumers would know how much they should buy the product. We released this at any time between last week of October to first week of November. And then DTI already successfully convinced the Department of Agriculture to issue suggested retail prices on some agricultural products. Meron si DA na SRP under DA Administrative Circular 04 Series of 2018, which was published in June. Ito yung agricultural products niya na may SRP and hopefully will be enforced. This includes rice, milkfish, tilapia, galunggong, yung basic rin na basic agricultural products ng Department of Agriculture for the consumers. On the supply side, in interventions, of course, the tariff, the Tariff Commission, together with the other members, including the Department of Trade and Industry, initiated supply-oriented interventions to counter the effects of inflation. Initially po, ang plano sana was to bring down tariff to 5%. Pero nung napag-usapan nila and napag-aralan yung itong tariff na to, they decided na to flood the markets na lang instead of decreasing the tariff para mas maraming supply, mas bababa rin ang presyo, and it will also help the consumers. We also initiated this year the DTI Consumer Hotline. We were able to also successfully convince Globe and Smart to give in to our request to make this toll-free nationwide. So we have DTI 1384, that's toll-free nationwide for Globe, and toll-free for NCR for Smart. Up to now, kino-convince pa rin natin si Smart para pagbigyan tayo to make this toll-free nationwide. Pero to date, Globe, you can call from anywhere from Region 12 to Manila. During the Economic Development Cluster meeting last week, napag-usapan rin, DTI sits in the NFA Council, by the way. So we represent the Department of Trade and Industry in the council, and we have seen some documents of NFA that they have sufficient supply of rice. As a matter of fact, meron po silang 4.6 million sacks of rice na nasa warehouses distributed across several regions in the country na inutusan ng NFA Council, ng NFA, na gumawa ng distribution scheme para lumabas sa market yung produkto na ito. This is only the procurement through government-to-government procurement scheme. Meron pa siyang around 33,000 metric tons converted into around times 20 na procured through government to private procurement scheme naman. So meron pang dadating ang NFA na 5 million sacks of rice that has been already instructed by the NFA Council. Padating ito ng October. So we will expect enough supply for our countrymen. Meron pa tayong harvest season towards the end of September to middle of October, harvest season na. We just need to pray for good weather dahil maa-affect na naman ang harvest ng farmers natin pagka binagyo ang farmland. So needless to say, like I said, marami tayong supply ng bigas, hindi dapat mabahala ang mga consumers natin kasi meron tayong supply, yung distribution scheme na lang natin sa NFA ang kailangan nating maayos. We visited the Department of Trade and Industry also as co-chair of the Rice Task Force created by the NFA Council. We went to visit some millers and traders' warehouses in Bocaue, Bulacan nung isang araw. Nakita natin na yung ating traders, meron silang enough supply yung millers rin natin na nagmi-mill na nga rin ngayon, we have enough supply of rice. Pag naubos yung laman ng warehouse nila, i-replenish lang nila yung supply. Nakausap rin natin yung presidente doon sa presidente ng association, Millers Association doon sa Bukawi. And we were able to convince them na ibalik nila yung 39 pesos per kilo na tulong sa bayan na bigas. So we're coordinating with them. Hopefully, we will be able to do this by this weekend. Nakita rin, alam na natin yung presyo ng palay, whether it's wet or dry, nakikita natin kung paano yung computation nila doon sa bigas hanggang makarating sa palengke. But the important thing is we have enough supply. We want to inform our consumers na hindi sila dapat mabahala dahil merong supply. Finally, the Department of Trade and Industry has also been working on this project naman. We conceptualized last week bilang assistance rin sa DA because as an offshoot of the economic cluster meeting last week, the Department of Agriculture and DTI had agreed to launch this project. DA will provide us the refrigeration and chiller equipment for agricultural products. Ito po yung DTI, well, actually, DTI-DA, Tulong sa Bayan. We will launch suking outlets. Ito yung outlets na diretso na, kasi like I mentioned earlier, inaalis natin yung layers. Kasi yung layers ng trading ang nagpapataas ng presyo ng bilihin. So, itong project na to, from the farmer or the producer, maybe one trader, kung si farmer din yung magdidistribute, meron din siyang kita ng konti, tapos diretso na doon sa suking outlets that we're going to have. Diretso from the producer or the farmer or the raiser grower, diretso doon sa suking outlet where the consumers can buy the products at much lower prices than what you see at retail. Ang products na to, nang gusto natin ilagay, basically, agricultural products kasi yon ang mataas ng presyo ng bilihan ngayon. So we'll have pork, chicken, eggs, and NFA rice. Maglalagay tayo ng NFA rice at saka vegetables na kino-coordinate rin natin with the farmers and growers para maidiretso natin dun sa consumer outlets. For manufactured food products, uunahin lang ng DTI, ayusin lang hanggang ma-stabilize yung takbo ng consumer outlets bago natin ilagay para mas madali ang pag-operate ng consumer outlets.
MPC question, Raymond Tinasa.
Ma'am, just quick points. So, based on your observation, justified yung soaring or the current prices of the basic commodities like yung mga, especially yung mga agricultural products?
Agricultural products, especially yung buhay, ang corn feeds, yung mga factors na kino-consider nila. Some corn feeds are also imported. So, yung presyo ng peso against the dollar, pumapasok rin sa kanila, and then the presyo ng gasolina, kasama rin dun sa factor nila. Sa production kasi, kasama yon. So, for live products like hogs and chicken, kasama siguro yun, pagtaas nila ng presyo. But, for pork, kasi kausap natin si Pork Federation, Pork Producers Federation, hindi sila masyadong affected nitong recent increases. For 2018, very, very minimal ang increase ng presyo nila, ang production.
No, so the question is justified. It is justified?
For agricultural products,
The
could
chicken.
be. For chicken, syempre, gumagamit ng gasolina yan. Opo. Pero yung presyo sa merkado, because we know the farm gate price,
Yes.
hindi justified from the farm gate, from the farm hanggang sa market, yun ang hindi justified. And that's what we have been looking
So
for, yung
precisely.
traders.
So, sa tagal-tagal yun ang pinag-aralan at nakita, pagtanto na hindi justified sa mismong market, may kinasuhan na ba kayo?
Sir, July po nag-umpisa ang DTI kasi agricultural product po ito. It's really with the Department of Agriculture. As assistance to DA, Pumasok po kami ng July, nag-research kami at nakipag-usap po kami sa mga producers nito. Kaya natin na-discover yung trading scheme na nangyayari between production and retail. So far, wala pa po kaming nakakasuhan kasi nag-iimbestiga pa kami, kinukuha natin yung traders nila, and that is why we issue the letters of inquiry para po malaman kung anong sources nila doon sa...
Since July, so who is the culprit sa overprice sa market?
Could be the trading scheme ho na madaming layers. Kamukha nitong produkto na ibabagsak sa Balintawak Market, ibabagsak sa Project 4, ibabagsak sa Taylapapa, marami hong layers eh. Kaya every step na dinadaanan ng produkto may dagdag na presyo.
So, yeah, go ahead. Just to clarify kasi, parang nagpapasahan yata kayo ng trabaho sa DA kasi may sinasabi rin yung DA na dapat daw DTI kasi kayo yung in charge sa trade, so sa price monitoring and control. So ano ba talaga, can you categorically clarify which is which?
Ano po sir, we can check the Price Act. I think section 5 of the Price Act says that agricultural products are within the mandate and jurisdiction of the Department of Agriculture. Ito po, tulong natin sa DA at sa mga kababayan natin. Kaya nag-assist na rin po kami on agricultural products.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Inand lang.
Thank you.
Hi ma'am. Ma'am, can you tell us what specific products yung binabanggitin nyo na nag-agree po na hindi magtataas ng presyo for at least the next 3 months?
We have canned sardines, noodles, price of noodles has not increased for the longest time, evaporated milk, all kinds of milk actually, powdered, evaporated, and condensed. We also have coffee, itong water, bottled water, canned pork, and canned meat, detergent and bath soap. Yun. Almost all, hindi, actually all BNPCs, manufactured BNPCs, nag-commit sila na hindi gagalaw. But basically, yung food products, yun yung mga nabanggit natin.
Okay. Ma'am, related dun sa earlier question, I'm just curious, how long po ba yung process from the time, hanggang makasuhan, from the time you discover what could be unreasonable prices? Kumbaga, when can we expect cases to be filed?
Masabi ko lang, for BNPCs, we issue letters of inquiry pagka nakita natin that the price is above the suggested retail price, and immediately they correct. They give us reasons, but whatever reason they have kung bakit mas mataas sa SRP yung presyo nila, we still demand that they go back to the suggested retail price, and we watch the store for the next 2 or 3 months just to make sure na compliant sila dun sa suggested retail price. But the process is, pag nag-issue ng letter of inquiry, they will give us within a few days, maybe 3 days, kailangan sagutin nila agad yung LOI, and then give us the information kung saan nila kinuha yung product or nakailang layers bago makarating sa kanila. And then we check the reasonableness of the trading scheme. Kung nakita natin na may reason sila, kung kagaya ng sa manok, kung ang kuha nila talaga ay mas mataas pa sa SRP, the retailer will not be punished. So, bibigyan natin sila ng alternative na kumuha sila sa ibang distributor or ibang produkto na lang because they will keep violating the SRP if they continue getting from the supplier.
So more often, ma'am, hindi po humahantong sa pag-file na ng kaso because they adjust their prices?
Yes,
That
for
usually-
BNPCs, yes.
Right.
For manufactured food products.
Okay, thank
Okay,
you.
Tina Panganiban Perez.
Ma'am, assuming na masisira po lahat ng rice harvest because of the typhoon, will there still be enough rice supply in the country?
Yes, we have 5 million bags coming in October. And then, if I may mention also, the DTI has already initiated importing rice also as assistance to NFA. Right now, we have the Philippine International Trading Corporation na nag-aaral na ng computations nila, and they're ready to pay around 150,000 metric tons ng bigas. Para naka-standby lang kami because we also need to seek the approval of the NFA Council before we can do this. But timetable, PITC should be done with the computations this week, and then we'll be able to present this to the NFA Council anytime next week.
Ma'am, do you expect the super typhoon to affect prices of other goods, hindi lang po yung sa agricultural products?
For BNPCs, it's not a seasonal product, so hindi siya affected ng whether it's raining or kung mainit na panahon. Pero ang agricultural products, we expect them to be affected, kaya nga sana kung mapagdasal natin, because now, pag nag-uulan, naiisip automatic, top of mind affected ang palay, ang rice fields natin.
Ma'am, sa lahat po ba ng palengke magkakaroon ng suking outlets?
We'll have, the suking outlets will not be in wet markets. Nasa siya, multi-purpose centers. This is also done in cooperation with local government units. Hindi natin siya pwedeng itabi sa wet markets because we also want to keep the businesses ng mga nandun sa palengke. We will not want to compete with them. So dito to sa mga multi-purpose and barangay centers ng mga LGUs. They'll provide us the location dun sa mga existing buildings na nila or structures na community centers also, doon natin ilalagay yung suking outlets.
Ma'am, last na po, ano yung estimate nyo na price difference from the palengke and the suking outlets?
For agricultural products, kanina we were talking about this, dun sa supplier ng poultry, we want it at least 20 pesos lower than what you find in the market. Kung ang farm gate price ng manok ay 80 pesos, kailangan siguro mga 120 pesos maximum na maibenta yan doon sa palengke. Unlike what you find in the market na almost 70 pesos above the reasonable price.
Okay, Pia Gutierrez.
Hi, Yusek. Yusek, during your meeting last week, did the cluster talk about the crafting of a possible executive order to address the effects of inflation?
It was not discussed, but I heard it. But it was not discussed during the meeting.
Okay. So, ma'am, are there other counter-inflationary measures na naisip or gusto pong isuggest ng cluster that needs an executive order for it to be implemented?
Of course, yung rice tariffication would need a congressional act. Hindi na executive order because Congress is in session. Yung sugar na nililift rin yung tariff imports to allow the users, like biscuit manufacturers and confectionery associations, yung makapag-import sila. That is also being looked at. And actually, that has been discussed between Secretary Lopez and SRA as far back as parang June or July.
Thank you.
Okay, last question na tayo. Ace Romero.
Yusek, you recently attended a House hearing about the rice issue. Tama po?
Hindi po.
Hindi, yung nag-usap ka recently about yung the cause of the supposed rice supply lack, yung nagkaroon kayo ng discussions between the NFA administration and the NFA.
NFA Council meeting.
Yes.
Opo.
Okay. So we are expecting a new leadership sa NFA because Mr. Aquino has just requested that he be relieved. So ano po yung ina-expect ngayon ng NFA Council with the new leadership of the NFA, given that you had disagreements with them in the past?
We still do not know if Admin Aquino will really be replaced. Up to now, we have no definite word from NFA. But if ever the council, probably anyone from among the council members can give directions to NFA for it to function. May deputy naman kasi sila, may deputy administrator ang NFA. So they can probably take over in the meantime, and then the NFA council can give directions.
Ano ina-expect ninyo dun sa susunod na leadership ng NFA?
Kung if directions will be given by the NFA council and this will be strictly complied with, mas mabilis yung magiging action, I would think.
Would you expect a more harmonious relationship? Kasi nga nung sa House hearing na yon, mukhang nagkaroon kayo ng banggaan, sabi ninyo, di ba? Kaya naman na-delay yung sa bigas kasi hindi nila binibigay yung sa inventory nila. So do you think yung mga ganong issues with the new leadership?
Let me just correct yung sa Congress hearing, it was a Ways and Means Committee. It was not about rice. It was incidental that
They asked
the
about
deputy administrator, kasi dalawa yung deputy nila. Deputy administrator was there, tinatanong ng congressman kung bakit matagal, and then blaming the council. But we represent DTI in the council as alternate of Secretary Lopez. So we have a first-hand information on what happened. I just defended the NFA council that we did not cause the delay of importation.
So yung mga ganong differences, do you think maayos? Are you optimistic with
Sa tingin ko mas maayos, at saka parang maayos pati ang information that we will provide the media. Kasi kailangan yung accurate information, tamang information, like yung kung ilan yung bigas. Kailangan lang ma-explain mabuti kasi daily consumption requirement of rice, for example, is 32,000 metric tons for the whole country. That's 640 sacks of rice. Ang NFA supply is only 10% of the 32,000 metric ton. So yung supply na sinasabi nila na wala ng bigas kasi kino-cover yung buong 32,000, but we have to take note that we also have commercial and household rice. Yung 32,000, 10% lang nun ang NFA. So out of 640,000 bags of 50 kilos of rice, 64,000 lang ang sa NFA. And they have more than sufficient inventory for that.
Last question para sa akin po. What are your thoughts about President Duterte's statement that he wants to abolish the NFA Council?
The president must have been properly advised already for him to think of that. So, yung advisors niya na lang niya and his lawyers and the NFA before he makes a decision on NFA.
Do you agree that the council has failed to perform its functions?
No, I don't agree.
Bakit po?
Because we have set the direction. Nasabi naman ng council, yung position ng council doon sa administration, especially on rice importation and distribution.
Okay, last question, Bernadette.
Ma'am, do you agree with the President's position that inflation is caused by the ongoing trade war between U.S. and China?
Si Presidente ang may opinion on, I have no opinion on that, sorry.
How about the DTI po? What's the response of DTI on the ongoing trade war po? Ano po yung effect niya sa country?
Ongoing trade war between China and
US po.
the US. Basta tayo dito sa Pilipinas, we handle our own inflationary measures. We do what we have to do para sa bansa. Yung sa labas ng Pilipinas, that is beyond our concern already at DTI.
So ano pong major cause ng inflation po kung if not trade
Meron
war?
namang mga dahilan dun sa nilabas ng Bangko Sentral na causes ng inflation, agricultural products, especially yung alcohol, sigarilyo. Ito yung mga basic na nakakos ng pagtaas ng inflation.
So sa tingin niyo po, yun po yung dahilan and not the trade war po?
It could have probably affected our own inflation rate, but probably not the major factor also.
Ma'am, last na. Sa 7-month trade gap po, it breached 20 billion mark and PSA said it was the highest among the 7-month trade deficits. Do you think this is still manageable and not a cause for concern?
I think so. Government is doing its best, and we together, we're working together to come up with inflationary measures. Hindi naman tumitigil ang pag-isip natin kung paano natin i-address yung inflation para hindi masyadong maramdaman ng consumers natin.
Ma'am, ito po yung sa trade deficit po na 7-month po. So what can we do to narrow it po?
Sorry, I cannot answer.
Okay, thank you po.
Okay, last question. I'm sorry. Ando lang.
Hi again, ma'am. I understand you're not keen on recommending price ceilings, but what would prompt the DTI to recommend that measure?
Probably if it has gone beyond control. Right now, hindi pa natin nasusubukan to flood the market with sufficient supply or more than sufficient supply. So we'll try that first, and then we'll see what happens. Marami kasing adverse effects if you impose price ceiling. Kaya we're not yet looking at that now.
Do you have a timeline on, how much time will you give dito sa pag-flood ng market? And then when will you assess the situation again?
Especially on rice, we'll flood the market, we'll wait for the 5 million bags coming in October, tapos i-assess natin ulit. Also, the 4.6 million sacks of rice na nasa inventory, ilabas muna natin yun sa market, madamihan ng supply ang mga consumer, ang mga kababayan natin, then we'll see. In addition to that is the 5 million bags coming.
Same goes with other products?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Malacañang Press Corps. Thank you, Yusek, Ruth Castello.
Okay, maraming salamat. Magandang umaga.
Okay, thank you, MPC. Back to our main studio sa Radyo Pilipinas and People's Television Network.